morning. My name is Chasen Ishii, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd like to now call to order the May 3rd, 2023 Kakaako Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. And the time is now 9 a.m.
Thank you, Chair. In accordance with section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's Kakaako board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included on the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building, located at 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. This meeting is being live streamed on HCDA's YouTube page. The HCDA communications staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clearer audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. This is a public virtual meeting, so to prevent any distractions, if you're not a board member, staff member, or HCDA's Attorney General, please turn off your video during the meeting. If you are providing public testimony, your name will be called accordingly. Please turn your video on, please state your name and affiliation, and proceed with your testimony. When you have finished, please turn off your video. In accordance with section 92-3.7C Hawaii Revised Statutes, if the authority's ICT connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated, and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you.
HCDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge if you're present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect the following members are present. Vice Chair Apo.
Present.
Member Higa.
Present.
Member Miranda Johnson. Member Nasser.
Present.
Member Hirai.
Present.
Member Evans.
Try to log on.
Member Sakura.
Here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Chair, we have quorum.
Great, thank you. For today's meeting, we have board members who will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted into the meeting respectively. First item on the agenda, tab 1, regular meeting minutes of April 5th, 2023. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? If there are no comments or questions, the minutes are approved as presented. Item number 2 on the agenda, Brandy Bennett versus Hawaii Community Development Authority. Civil number 1CCV-21-00000521, litigation status update. Ms. Justine Hura, Deputy Attorney General from the Department of Attorney General's Tort Litigation Division, will provide the update in an executive session. Do I have a motion for the authority to convene in an executive session pursuant to HRS 92-5A4 to consult with the board's attorney on questions pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities? Do I have a motion?
Member Higa so moves.
Do I have a
Member
second?
Apo seconds.
Okay, and for the record, Member Evans is present. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chair.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. I would request that we are joined in the executive session by Executive Director Craig Nakamoto, Asset Manager Lindsay Doi, Deputy Director General Justine Hura, and Kelly Suzuka, and ACDA staff Kapili Keeter and Francine Murray. We estimate the executive session will last approximately 15 minutes. Time back into regular session is 9:23.
What's the name? Testimonies, no testimonies.
No testimony.
Okay.
We need to ask.
People that just joined the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, testimonials.
Do we have any public testimony? For this item?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, decision-making agenda item. Consider authorizing the executive director to amend the existing right of entry agreement with Reuse Hawaii, executed on June 1st, 2020, with the use of a portion of Forest Private Driveway located on Oahu Tax Map Key Number 121-015-052 in Kakaako, Makai, for the purposes of equipment storage, ROE 7-20, to extend the term for an additional 2 years until May 31st, 2025, and increase the rent. Ms. Lindsay Doy, Asset Manager, will now present ACDA staff report.
Morning, members. This request is under tab 3 of your packet. It refers to a portion of, it looks like a roadway. It's actually, we call it a private driveway because it's not a formal road, but it's located next to the Reuse Hawaii warehouse, which is owned by OHA. So it's in Kakaako, Makai, adjacent to our Lot C parking lot property and the Entrepreneur's Sandbox. It's a really small portion of land. Again, it's a private driveway, so it's not a public thoroughfare. The vast majority of it is actually leased to DOT Harbors. They operate the pier right next door and they need it for oversized cargo. That's a nice arrangement because in exchange for that lease, they also keep it clear of campers and abandoned vehicles and things like that. They secure that premises. But on the Makai end of that driveway, there is a little portion that is very close to OHA's property, which is where Reuse Hawaii's warehouse is located. They had a need several years ago to have storage containers. They operate a recycling business, so they take a lot of housing materials, lumber, recycled goods, and they need to store them as people can come and buy them. So they do have some storage containers that they were looking to house, as well as some equipment. That location, because it's right next to their warehouse, was perfect for them. So we have had this right of entry with them for several years. Initially, we thought that it was going to be a temporary arrangement, but that need of recycling and storaging those goods has continued. So they are now requesting an additional 2 years under that right of entry. There is some rent associated with that request. It is going to be increased modestly to $615 a month. Again, for that small portion of private driveway on the Makai end of the lot. I am joined by the Executive Director of Reuse Hawaii, Quinn Vidum, if you had any questions as to their use of the property or their request today.
Thank you, Lindsay. Members, are there any questions or comments?
Lindsay, Kevin Sakota.
Hi, Kevin.
Is it just for the right of entry? It's not the actual lot space that the Reuse Hawaii is on?
Correct. So we actually don't
Okay.
own the Reuse Hawaii warehouse. That's OHA's property.
Gotcha,
This
okay.
is for the small, I believe it's a 2,500 square foot portion of that driveway. So next to
Great.
their warehouse.
Yeah, and
Great.
member Sakota, if it wasn't for the use by Reuse Hawaii, there probably wouldn't be any other users for this small piece of property because the access to this small piece of property is only really through
OHA's.
OHA's property. So the fact that
Right.
use can access it and use it is a benefit
Okay.
to both parties.
Thank you, Member Scott.
Right.
Any other questions or comments?
Can I just ask one more question to the Director of Reuse? I just wonder, for our benefit, if you could explain sort of the model, a financial model for Reuse Hawaii. I've used them in the past, and I remember getting a big tax credit for a project I was doing. So I'm wondering if that's still the case and whether that source of tax credits still exists through the, I think it's through the federal government, but if you could just review that. For
Sure,
us.
yeah, thanks for the support. You're one of 800 deconstruction, it sounds like, over the years. Yeah, so we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So when folks donate to us, all the material is a tax deductible donation. We have a deconstruction program where we work in the field as a licensed and insured demolition contractor. But instead of throwing everything out, we can preserve all the material for reuse. So we do a lot of residential whole building and remodel related deconstruction work. And yeah, it's an incredible incentive for folks because they get a tax deduction, a tax deductible donation receipt at the end of the project. And the IRS requires a third party to assign the value, but once they do, it's a huge windfall for material that you kind of needed to get rid of anyway. And then you can feel good about not filling up the landfill. So, and then on the reuser side, we have a lot of do-it-yourself homeowners, rental property people, the film set designers come down, of course, your artists and farmers. Some contractors, but we're still trying to get more of them in to repurpose the material. So we serve 4,000 people at our Kakaako redistribution center every month. So it's been incredible. Come a long way since HCDA was our landlord at the warehouse.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Is there any public testimony?
No.
No public testimony? Okay, great. All right, so do I have a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to amend the existing right of entry agreement with Reuse Hawaii executed on June 1st, 2020 for the use of a portion of forest private driveway located on Oahu tax map P number 1/2-1-015-052 in Kakaako, Makai, for the purposes of equipment storage ROE 7-20 to extend the term for an additional 2 years until May 31st, 2025, and increase the rent. Do I have a motion?
So
Member
moved,
Higo.
Kevin.
Oh, seconded.
It's moved by member Sakota, seconded by member Higa. Members, are there any further motion? Or discussion for the motion, I'm sorry. If not, Lindsay, can you take the roll call?
Members, the motion has been made and seconded. On that motion, member Sakota,
Yes.
member Higa,
Yes.
member Apo,
Aye.
member Miranda Johnson. Maybe she dropped off. Member Hirai,
Yes.
member Evans,
Yes.
member Nasir,
Yes.
and Sherry Sheehy.
Yes,
The motion passes with 7 in favor and 2 excused.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. And next on the agenda, the report of the executive director. Executive Director Craig Nakamoto will now present the monthly report.
Thank you, Chair. The Executive Director's report is in tab 4 of your packet. And I want to maybe just highlight what's in Exhibit B, and this is the dashboard, the quarterly dashboard that we have for Honolulu Senior Rental Housing Project. What we see in chart one, I think, is the financial metrics for the project. We're experiencing a lot of expenses related to refurbishing of the units, so that's kind of reflected in the financials that you see. And resulting in a net loss in March of 8,397. Like I said, I think that's resulting from the work that's being done in the units and then some vacancies. In chart two, it shows the amount of vacancies. I think there's probably more vacancies than we'd like to see, but we're working with locations to move, to turn those vacancies quickly and get them rented out. On the age receivables, the higher amount reflects, I think, one significant collection matter for 90,000 for, actually it was fire damage to a unit that was caused by a tenant. So that's a significant part of that $153,000 age receivables. And so we're trying to pursue that. We'll see if it's ended up going to be collectible or uncollectible at this point. The chart in number 3 represents the number of applicants that we recently were signed up for Section 8. Section 8 is the assistance program. We signed up 6 through Catholic charities and locations, but it's still pending a lottery. So thank you, Chair. That's the summary.
Any questions or comments for our Executive Director on his Executive Director report? Is there any public testimony? No. All right, okay, well, thank you for those of you who joined us on Zoom, in person, or via YouTube. That concludes our business for today. The meeting is adjourned and the time is now 9:36. We will be starting up the general meeting in 5 minutes. Okay. Thank you.